Hi, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads. Join me in making these cute evergreen earrings, which were designed by Kimrie. Gather up your materials, whatever they may be, some bricks, some bars, some rulers, and have fun making these new holiday classics. So the first step when you're making the Kimrie's evergreen earrings is to actually put on and to choose what bead you want to use. She used 2-hole bricks. I think you could also use rulers and it would not be different at all. And I'm using 2-hole bars just to show you that you may have some materials at home that you can use. So you can do it with bricks, you can do it with rulers, you can do it with the 2-hole bars. And what I'm doing with the 2-hole bars is instead of doing one bead, I'm doubling it. So on my needle, I didn't want to make you have to watch this. I decided to string it ahead of time. We are going to be putting 10 sets of our 2-hole bars with a 15-0 in between. So I'm doubling all of the beads that are on there. So we're using 20 bars total, starting with a 15, 2 bars, 15, 2 bars. And again, I'm repeating that 10 times. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups of 2 of my 2-hole bars. Obviously, if you're using a brick or a ruler, you're just going to have 1 bead. So you're going to end up with 10 beads with a 15-0 seed bead in between. And I just have a galvanized silver color of the 15-0. Take that whole string of beads and tie it into a loop to get your wreath design here. And do a knot, right over left, left over right, and just tie it into a nice knot. Obviously, you can change up the design by the amount of beads that you use. If you want to use 8 rulers instead, or 8 groupings of beads, it's going to be smaller. From here, we're going to step up. So I'm taking my thread that's coming out of my 2-hole bar there. I'm going to take my thread and needle through that same 2-hole bar, reversing the direction so that way the needle is passing through the top. From here, coming out the top, we're going to go around simply where Kimrie used her 3mm silver beads, and I'm going to use some 3mm crystals just to jazz it up a little bit for the holiday season. Add a crystal and go through the 2-hole bars going through both. Again, if you have a ruler or a brick on there, you would just have 1 bead that you're sewing through. You're going to go the whole way around the outer rim here of the wreath and add in your 3mm crystals, adding them in 1 between each 2 of your bars. As you place on the last of your crystals, you're going to sew through those first 2 2-hole bars. And I should have mentioned I'm using a size 12 needle to make this a little bit easier as we get to the top. I have the size 12 needle on some .006 wildfire beading thread, and you really only need about 20 inches per earring. Coming out those 2-hole bricks, or coming out one of the bars here, what I'm going to do is go in here, and I'm going to add 4 seed beads. And remember, I'm using 15-0 seed beads, so I'm adding 4 of my 15-0s, and I'm going to sew into the other side of those bars. That's going to pull those 4 15-0s right on the top of the piece. From here, sew back through those 4 15-0s. We're going to do a little ladder stitch style, but we're going to do it a little bit different because we want to make that bow look. I'm going to be using a different color bead along the top for kind of the sides of my bow, where I'm going to put in a red beads in those 2-hole bars as well. So I'm going to pick up 2 of my lava red 2-hole bars, and then I'm going to sew right back through those 2-hole bars towards the other side. You're going to see a little bit of thread on the outside, but really you won't see much at all, especially this green color kind of adds to the holiday wreath. If you want to, you could put a couple 4 15-0s, and that would make it look a little bit ruffled at the end of your wreath as well. You could do that. Picking up then a couple more of my 15s, pouring them on my mat. I'm going to add 4 more 15s in the design. If you want to make it a little bit bolder, Kimrie used 11-0 seed beads in her design. I'm going to add 2 more of my bars in that red color. Again, if you're using a brick or a ruler, you just need to add 1. Go back through those as well, and then immediately go back through those 2 beads, or those 4 beads rather, that started this section of the wreath. Give that a nice tight pull, and there you have your first setup coming out of the wreath. You have your first little portion of the bow. From here, we're going to do 2 more sets of our brick stitch in our group of 4. So I want you to put on 4 15s, and then you're going to take the thread and needle back through those 4 beads that your thread is currently coming out of. You can kind of bend those bars a little bit back, pull that through, and then you're also going to sew through those 4 beads that you just added and bring your needle out there. We're going to add 4 more seed beads to complete the seed beads that lay in the middle of the bow. 4 more seed beads get added, so back into the start of those 4 that your thread is coming out of. Go back through those 4 that you just added rather. And then coming out of there, we are actually going to go on and we'll kind of catch on to those 4 that are on the back. So you're going to sew into the 4 that are along the back. And through those then, and that's going to bring us out. From there, we're going to go back through those 4 that we just put on. And you bring your needle through those. Oh, doesn't want to go through the 4th one. Bring it through the 4th and through. Then as you come out there, we're going to get ready to add the top of our wreath, which is a little bow. And it's going to sit that the last 2 rows are almost sitting right on top of or beside one another rather than kind of nicely in a row. If you need to at this point too, you can kind of tighten up any thread that you need to, make sure that bow's sitting nicely. And coming out the top here, I want you to add 1 15 onto your needle, as well as 1 crystal and 1 more 15. You're going to take your thread and needle and one more time, so back into those 4 groupings of 15 that your needle and thread were coming out of. That's going to put those beads right along the top of your bow. Sew back through the 15 and the crystal that you just added, and coming out the crystal, we're going to do the top here. We're going to add 2 of our 15s, then 1 more of our 2-hold bar. In her design, Kimrie did add a 4mm bead rather than the smaller 3mm bead, and then 2 4s and into that 2-hold brick. I'm adding 2 more, and I'm adding 1 more of those 2-hold bars, which are the chartreuse oxidized bronze, so it's kind of a vintagey Christmas look. Coming out that bar then, I want to add 1 more 15, 1 more of my 3mm crystals, and we're going to do a wire guard since it's going on an ear wire. Come down through the wire guard, and go back through that 3mm crystal. Making sure the thread sits in that wire guard, give a nice tight pull to tighten up any thread that you may see. The wire guards tend to be open a little bit wider and wider than the bead holes, so what I'm going to do is just literally with my fingers, just do a little pinch and pinch that wire guard a little closer together. Give a nice little pull again, making sure the thread is still sitting in the center of that wire guard. Coming out then after the 3mm, add 1 more 15. Go down through the other hole of the bar, and that's going to bring that wire guard kind of right there to the top, and you can see it. From here, add 2 more 15s to mimic what we did before the bar on the other side, and then we're going to sew back into that 3mm crystal. That then completes our little evergreen wreaths. They're so cute. What I'm going to do then to kind of pull them together is going back, you can see which 4 15-ohs you came out of. I'm going to, coming out of the crystal, go through the 15-oh seed bead that sits next to the crystal, go through the 4 15s that sit kind of behind the crystal, and then I'm going to get rid of my thread by sewing back into the project a little bit and getting rid of this last little bit. And again, remember, it uses about 20 inches of thread, and I used a size 12 needle with it since we're going through the 15s multiple times. As I come out of the design then, I'm going to just knot off the end of the thread. If it's getting a little tight, you can grab the pliers, do a little wiggle through with your size 12 needle so that way you don't break a bead, and finish up by tying off a knot here and then burning down your thread end. Going back to the original piece then here, because we tied a knot, I'm just going to take my thread zap or my thread burner and burn this down as well. And again, because I used that green thread, you're not really going to see it next to those chartreuse beads. All I need to do now is finish tying off that thread, put these on some ear wires, and you have two really cute variations of these little evergreen earrings. Cute design by Kimrie. Again, you can kind of use different materials to do it. You could even use some super duos. It's just going to change the count up here a little around the top. So try it out with some different beads, see what you get, and have fun making these little evergreen earrings. Thanks so much for watching the Evergreen Earrings. Remember, if you need any of the materials, you can order from us at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. Again, there's so many variations of different beads that you can use for these cute little wreaths and have fun making multitudes of them. In addition, if you need a list of the materials to the beginning of the video, we also have them listed below near that subscribe and like button. Remember, if you do, you can like the video and let us know exactly what you want to see and the designs that you like. Keep in mind, when you subscribe, you also get regular updates from us when we go live, when we have new videos for you and new patterns and new and exciting things going on in the bead world. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy making the fun evergreen earrings.